When I first came to Europe 25 years ago, I had left behind a childhood and adolescence in Africa where it was perfectly normal that parents, teachers, or other adults could hit on children and abuse them physically. And it wasn't just a light spanking. Those beatings were sometimes brutal, and the punishment was actually inhumane. But as children, we never had any rights. We felt it was the duty of our parents to discipline us, that we were in the wrong and we deserved those beatings. Hello and welcome to this episode of Spare the Rod and Save the Child. I do hope you like this video, and please, if you do, don't forget to subscribe and press the like button at the end. I came to Europe with pretty much the same mindset. I believe that parents have a duty to discipline their children, even if it means flogging or hitting on that child if that child misbehaves. After all, Proverbs 13:24 says, "Whoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them." And I had learned all along that this meant one had to flog a child. Now, I certainly felt justified to hit my child, but I was restrained, of course, by the fact that it's illegal in Europe and you could get into trouble, even get into jail or lose your children. And secondly, I felt I loved my children, so I didn't really want to be hitting on them or hitting on them so hard. So it really took me years to understand that that was actually child abuse. So I had to go back to the Bible to look for answers. What rod was King Solomon talking about? Did King Solomon actually mean that we should take a rod and start hitting on our children? First places the rod is talked about in the Bible is Genesis 49:10, where it says, "The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his legs, until Shiloh comes." This was the blessing that Jacob gave his son Judah when he was about to die. So the staff was between his legs, which meant Jacob had given the ruling staff to his fourth son Judah, and from him Shiloh would come. And Shiloh is actually the Lion of Judah, Christ. So this rod or staff is a symbol of authority. The rod or staff is what is used by shepherds to protect their sheep. The rod has a stub and is curved on the top. They use it to pull their sheep out from dangerous places. They use it to show their sheep the direction. Maybe they even hit their sheep with it. But the sole purpose of a rod is a symbolic purpose. It's a symbol of leadership, a symbol of authority, a symbol of protection. So when Proverbs says, "Whoever spares the rod hates the child," then it becomes clear. Whoever does not exercise his authority, his protection, and his discipline over his child hates his child. It doesn't mean you should take a stick and start flogging. If you doubt this, then ask yourself, why is it in Psalm 23 that it goes, "Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me"? If a rod was used for the purposes of flogging or hitting only, how would it act as a comfort to somebody? No, the rod is a protection. It's a symbol of authority, a symbol of security for a child or a sheep that is under a shepherd. So that is one proof that that rod doesn't mean just hitting on the child. And also remember that Proverbs was actually written by King Solomon. But what did Christ himself say about children? "Suffer these children to come unto me. Look at the parable Jesus told about the prodigal son who left, took his own half of the fortune. He still came back and was accepted by his father without any flogging, without any hitting. Also remember that flogging, hitting a child, is against the laws of most countries. And what did Jesus say about the laws of man and the laws of God? Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God. So, when you live in a country where hitting on a child is illegal, you have to obey the law of that country. There are so many other ways of disciplining a child. Let us look at Colossians 3, verse 21. Father, provoke not your child to anger, lest he be discouraged. What does that mean? That's also a clear sign that in disciplining our children, in raising them, in training them, we should not provoke them to anger. Anger means to make them to lose their self-esteem, to be in despair, to be in confusion, because they are being physically abused by us. Now, most people would say that's impossible. You can't raise a child properly or decently without flogging or hitting on the child. But I can tell you from my own experience, and I am raising 11 children in diaspora. It's very possible to raise a child without flogging a child, without physically abusing the child, without shaming the child or being violent. And here are just a few tips to help you along the road. Firstly, most parents make the mistake that those first formative years, they fail to establish their authority over the child. They fail to make the child realize they are the parents and that the children are the children. So they keep spoiling the child. Anything your child is doing, your child hits another child, you find it cute, you laugh, oh, my child is strong. No. Discipline starts from the very moment you bring your child home from the hospital. You can start teaching that child routine. So most parents don't do that. But when the child now gets into kindergarten or school and the complaints come, as a parent, you suddenly feel under pressure. You feel you have to discipline your child. You start taking radical measures, and that is by hitting the child. But you forgot that you never did the work from the very beginning when you ought to have started with the job of training the child. Secondly, like for us parents in diaspora, you feel under pressure that your child must be better than other children, that your child cannot afford to make a mistake, that your child cannot come in conflict with the law, that your child must be better than you and have a better career than you. So you turn into a helicopter parent, and of course, because you are stressed out, you're busy with your job, you don't have so much time with the child, you use the method of inflicting pain to achieve fast and efficient results, or at least that's what you think you're achieving. Why would a parent hit a child that brings a bad result? Finally, I'd like to say this. Flogging a child isn't even effective because the child only ends up not doing that particular thing out of fear. But the child does not actually know that it is wrong because you haven't explained it to this child. The child does not have any consciousness. It doesn't know what is right or wrong. It's just acting out of fear. But when you remove the fear, what happens to that child? Is the child going to start walking one day and being flogged at its working place? No. So flogging does not bring anything. If it did, would have such wonderful countries in Africa and everybody will be honest and decent. No, flogging does not help. Please, if you've been flogging your child or hitting your child and you think it's right, stop it. And I have to say this. A principal of a school here in Germany once told me that they have a lot of problem with African children because African children are often being hit at home by their parents, that when they come to school and a teacher talks to them normally, they don't take it serious and they don't react on it because they believe that as long as they're not being flogged, then they can do what they like. So you see that flogging does not help. Many adults say, yes, I was being flogged by my parents at school, that at home. I was flogged in school. That's why I am who I am today. That's not true. But probably after your parents flogged you, they called you and spoke to you, or somebody else called you and spoke to you. So if you are a success, you actually learned out of what was said to you after the flogging or before. So why does the flogging have to be, or the hitting or spanking have to be included? Any parent flogging a child is a parent that has lost. You have lost in your assignment of training and disciplining your child to be a good person, to be a better person, to contribute to the world. You are raising a child that is insecure, a child that will have complex as an adult, a child that may have depression, panic attacks, even if you think that child is succeeding in work. But there are other issues, other things that make a human being a happy and balanced member of society. So please, spare the rod and save the child. Don't use that rod to hit. Use the rod of discipline, of counseling, of advice, of protection, of motivating your child, of making your child to believe they are the best, of making your child believe they can be who they want to be. That's the only rod you should be using in your house. Thank you so much for listening to the video. May God help us all to be good parents and do what is right for our children. Remain blessed, and if you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe and do share the video with others. Thank you.